Wow. Well, let me just reintroduce the two of you, and that's Bob Krause, founder of a website and a support group for picky eaters called I'm going to do this correctly, pickyeatingadults.com.
Correct.
Thank you for that, Bob. Founded back in 2003. And also with us is psychotherapist Abigail Nadeshome, and she specializes in the treatment of eating disorders, including picky eating, although she says it doesn't exactly fit the definition of an eating disorder, but nonetheless it's a problem that certainly children have had and sometimes do have. And, of course, some of those kids can grow up and have eating problems as they get older. We're talking about picky eaters today on Radio Times and taking calls at 1-888-477-9499. Let me get Sharon from Galloway Township, New Jersey to join us. And Sharon, go ahead. You're on Radio Times.
Hi there.
Hi.
I'm very interested to hear this being talked about on public radio. I was an extremely picky eater as a child, and I just recently read about childhood food neophobia, and that really seemed to be me. I was literally afraid to put certain foods in my mouth, and I grew up on bread and butter.
Wow. And how about today for you, Sharon?
Well, I'm 55, and I've greatly expanded the range of foods that I can and will eat. There are still things that I won't eat. There are things that I say I don't like that I've never tasted because I don't like the smell. I like the smell of coconut, but I won't eat it because I don't like the texture or the taste. And I've been able to adapt.
Well, let me give Abigail Nadeshome a chance to weigh in on that. She talks about neophobia. Does that make sense, Abigail?
Yes. You know, first I want to just say that there are many different ways that these problems show themselves in the brain, many different extents to what the problem might be, because every brain obviously is as unique as a thumbprint. And it's pretty terrific that you were able, as an adult, to expand your eating experience as much as you did. I do want to say that in terms of diagnosis, the problem, as we have been describing it today, the picky eating problem, is going to be called selective eating disorder in the 2013 Diagnostic and Statistical Manual
the DSM
of mental disorders. So, and neophobia is a childhood feeding problem, and I would just say that there's a lot of fuzziness in between these various diagnoses, and certainly in how they pan out in a person's adult life.
Well, Bob, let me go back to you, and I'm thinking about your website where people get together and talk about food, I guess, and some of their picky eating habits. What do you hope this website does, or what do you think it has done since it's been up for almost a decade?
Well, in the beginning, I called it my own personal SETI project, where you have the SETI project that's looking for signs of extraterrestrial life. When I put this thing up in 2003, I'd only found one example on the Internet anywhere relating to the way I eat. Everything else was anorexia, nervosa, bulimia. Every time you saw eating disorder, it turned out to be something else. So I started the website, put it up there, waited for the search engines to start finding it, and I went from knowing of one other person that was like me to finding literally thousands. I know we had the first biggest break we ever had was Washington Post did an article, and there were so many people coming to the website and joining the support group for days that I couldn't hardly keep up with it. They're all writing and saying, as I'm typing this, I have tears in my eyes. I can't believe I'm not the only one.
Wow.
And just so amazing how many I have found.
Well, and it sounds like you're talking about the kind of embarrassment that people have, Bob, or even shame about their eating habits.
We tend to go into hiding as an adult, or at least until the year 2003. You take it into adulthood, and you hide it from just all but your very closest friends and relatives, and you find so many ways to avoid eating situations. I know I have had a rule for a very long time, never go to a friend's house until after 7 o'clock, or you get invited to dinner, because going to dinner at somebody's house is one of the worst things that can happen, because they always have foods that they think are just wonderful, and you'll love them if you just take a bite. And, well,
can't do that.
It could be really embarrassing if I do take a bite.
Let me get Sean from the Northeast to join us. And Sean, go ahead. You're on Radio Times.
Hi, how are you? Thanks for taking my call.
You're welcome.
I'm a professional chef in the city, and I've seen this a million times just growing up myself. I've converted many, quote-unquote, picky eaters. I think it's a clear product of society. Originally, right now, Brussels sprouts are one of the most popular things on gastropub menus in the city, and older people tend to squint at that because they're used to like a canned kind of like not good product or version of that. So what I'm trying to say is I think a lot of the times these foods that you don't like are just prepared incorrectly or just not meant to be eaten in the way that you've seen it at first.
Well, Sean, I'm one of those people that grimaced when you said Brussels sprouts because that's what I grew up on as well. But let me give Abigail a chance to weigh in on that, which, I mean, do you think it's that for some people they just have had bad experiences with certain foods and that's turned them off to that food?
You know, I think truthfully that this caller has a point in saying that when foods are prepared nicely and well, they're going to be certainly more acceptable to eaters. But I also believe that when we're talking about a problem that is as significant, biologically founded, as picky eating, selective eating disorder, that it goes further than that. And when I'm thinking about a picky eater looking at a plate of broccoli or Brussels sprouts, I'm thinking about that person thinking it's going to taste like a piece of metal in their mouth. So I think it has to do with, it's beyond personal preferences here. What we're talking about is a disorder. It's a physiological disorder. And more and more, and it's so important to know that the research on this has just really begun. It's in its infancy stages, and more is going to be known about this. And I think as they begin to do more gene engineering, maybe some of these problems are going to be able to be dealt with
Sean,
more easily.
Sean, thanks for the call to Radio Times. We have to take a very short break. Bob, do you want to stay with us?
Yeah, sure.
We're happy to have you, and that's Bob Kraus, founder of a website, a support group for picky eaters, pickyeatingadults.com, founded in 2003. Abigail Nadeshone is a psychotherapist. She specializes in the treatment of eating disorders. We are talking about something called selective eating disorder or picky eaters. And we're going to take a very short break and get some more callers in at 1-888-477-9499. That's 1-888-477-WHYY. Stay with us. Call us. We'll be right back.